The interstellar war between the Axoni Confederation and the Vesperian Alliance had raged for 17 galactic cycles. Billions had perished, entire worlds reduced to ash, and countless species dragged into the conflict through ancient pacts or brutal conquests. Military analysts on both sides projected another 20 cycles of bloodshed, minimum. Then humanity joined the war. Ambassador Threlvark of the Vesperian Alliance remembered the day the strange bipedal species had approached their High Council. The humans had seemed so unimpressive. Soft-skinned, with no natural armor or claws, physically weaker than nearly every sentient species in the known galaxy. Their delegation had listened solemnly to briefings about the conflict's scale and brutality. "You understand," Grand Marshal Zix had told them. "This war has consumed the greatest military minds of 24 species for nearly 2 decades. The Axoni control the primary hyperlane junctions. They have fortified positions across 7 key sectors. Breaking their hold would take about 3 weeks," the human representative, Admiral Chen, had replied casually. The council chamber had erupted in hisses and clicks of disbelief and indignation. "Impossible," Zix had thundered. "Our best projections." Chen had simply smiled. "With respect, Marshal, your projections don't account for human warfare." That conversation had occurred precisely 14 Earth days ago. Now Ambassador Threlvark stood beside Grand Marshal Zix on the observation deck of the Alliance flagship, watching as the supposedly impenetrable Axoni defense network around Junction Prime collapsed in less than 6 hours. "By the ancestral flames," Zix whispered, all 4 of his eyes wide with disbelief. "How are they doing this?" The tactical display showed a chaotic dance of light points. The human fleet, if it could even be called, that didn't move in traditional formations. Their vessels, small and agile compared to the massive Vesperian warships, seemed to operate with a blend of coordinated swarm tactics and individual initiative that baffled the Alliance's military strategists. "The humans call it asymmetric warfare," Threlvark explained, remembering his briefings with the Earth delegation. "They don't fight the way we do." On the display, another Axoni command center went dark. "Their history," Threlvark continued, "is nothing but war. Not the organized, principled conflicts we wage, but desperate struggles for survival against their own kind. They evolved on a death world, Marshal. Everything on their planet tried to kill them: the weather, the animals, even microscopic organisms. And each other most of all. Below them, the comm officer's console lit up with a priority signal. "Marshal," the officer called, "we're receiving a transmission from Admiral Chen." The human admiral's face appeared on the main screen. Behind her, Threlvark could see what appeared to be a remarkably small bridge crew for a fleet flagship. "Marshal Zix," Chen nodded respectfully. "Junction Prime is secure. We've disabled their command infrastructure and quantum communications array. The Axoni fleet is scattered and in retreat." Zix's respiratory slits flared in amazement. "Admiral, this defense network has withstood our most concentrated assaults for 3 cycles. How did you breach it so quickly?" Chen seemed almost embarrassed. "We didn't breach it at all, Marshal. We went around it." "Around?" "There is no around. The defensive grid extends through subspace." "Yes, through known subspace frequencies," Chen explained. "We simply shifted slightly out of conventional phase space. The Axoni sensors couldn't detect us because they weren't looking in the right dimension." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Is that possible?" Zix finally asked his chief science officer. The science officer, a Quilarian with advanced degrees from the 3 most prestigious universities in the Alliance, merely blinked her compound eyes in stunned silence. Marshal Admiral Chen continued, "My strike teams have also secured the Axoni's central archives. We've identified their entire command structure supply chains, and the location of their supreme leadership. Zix's exoskeleton nearly rattled with excitement. "You've found the Axoni Highmost? Their ruling council has remained hidden for millennia." "Yes. They're in a shielded installation, orbiting a brown dwarf in the Nixian cluster. We've already dispatched a team to negotiate with them." "How long until your team arrives?" Thrillvak asked. Chen checked something off screen. "They arrived 20 minutes ago. We should be receiving their here it is now." She paused, reading something the Vesperians couldn't see. "The Axoni leadership has agreed to unconditional surrender," Chen announced calmly, as if reporting nothing more significant than a routine patrol. Grand Marshal Zix sank heavily into his command chair, all 4 limbs going slack. 17 cycles of devastating war ended in 14 Earth days. "Why?" he finally asked. "Why did you help us? Your species could have remained neutral." Admiral Chen's expression grew serious. "Because that's what humans do, Marshal. We've learned from our bloody history. Those who can fight have a duty to protect those who cannot." As the human admiral began outlining ceasefire protocols, Threlvak found himself profoundly grateful that humanity had chosen to be their allies rather than their enemies. Because if there was one thing now clearer than the vacuum of space itself, the galaxy would never be the same now that humanity had arrived.